do lesson 102, sums of functions and products of functions. I know functions aren't your favorite things that we do, but functions are really easy. We're going to add functions h of g and h of x and g of x, and that's the same thing as h plus g of x. That doesn't mean anything to you, but here we have two functions. We have h of x is x plus 3, and g of x is 2x squared plus 5. If we want to add them, we can write h plus g of x, and we can just simply add the like terms. So we're going to get 2x squared plus x plus 8. I added the 3 and the 5, and these two aren't like terms, so I just carry them down. So I added the two functions, h of x and g of x, and got this. Now this comes in handy when we have problems like example 1, where it says given h of x is x plus 3, they're going to give you the domain, which is going to be really important as we go through these problems. And it gives us O of x, which is a new letter for functions, is x squared minus 6. And this time the domain is the integers. They want us to find h plus O of 2. There's two different ways you can do this. We can either add our h function plus our O function together first. So I'm just going to add our h function is x plus 3. Our O function is x squared minus 6, and then we would get x squared plus x minus 3. So we added those together, and then we can evaluate it when x is equal to 2. So all that means is we replace all the x's with 2's. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to put a 2 in for the x, a 2 in for this x, and then we work on get our answer of 3. So that would mean h plus O of 2 is equal to 3. If you don't like that method, we can evaluate the h function with 2 in it and the O function with 2 in it and add those two answers together. So let's try that way. I'll just move over here. So let's do h of 2. So we go to our h function, it's x plus 3. So where I see the x, I'm going to put a 2. So that's 2 plus 3. And that gives me 5. Then I'm going to do O of 2. So we go to the O function. Where I see the x, I'm going to put a 2. So that would be 2 squared minus 6, and that's going to be minus 2. And when we add these together, again, we're going to get 3. So we get the same answer either way. You can either add the functions algebraically and then substitute the 2, or you can evaluate each function separately and add their two answers together. So let's try another one, adding, before we go to multiplication. This time, we have h of x is x plus 3, domains are the reals. G of x is 2x squared plus 5, the domains are the negative integers. They want us to find h plus g of 5. This one doesn't really help you learn very much, because if we look at this, the number that we're evaluating for. We're evaluating for a 5, and 5 does not fit in a domain. It's not a negative integer. So we can't put the 5 in for x because it doesn't fit one of the domains. If it doesn't fit either one of these, then you can't use it. So always check that first. Doesn't fit, it's not a negative integer, so you would just write the empty set. Easy enough. Let's go into multiplication. It's exactly the same thing. You can either multiply your two functions together and then evaluate, or you can evaluate each function and multiply your answer together. So this one says find h times g of negative 4 if h of x is x plus 3, domains are the reals, and g of x is x squared minus 6, and the domains are the negative integers. So they want us to evaluate h times g when it is negative 4. Negative 4 is a real number. Negative 4 is a negative integer, so we can use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate the h function when x is negative 4. So I'm just going to do the h function. I'm going to put a negative 4 in where that x is and add it. And then I'm going to evaluate the g function with negative 4 in it. So we're going to put negative 4 in where the x is. So we get negative 4 squared minus 6, and that would be 10. And if we multiply these two together, because we want h of g of -4, it's the same thing as multiplying the h function times the g function, so we get -10. Let's do one last quick problem. Example 4. Find if f of g is -4, find f of g of -4 if f of x equals x plus 3, domain is the real numbers, remember that r, that funny r means real numbers, and g of x is x plus x minus 5, and the domain is the positive integers. So they want us to find f times g, so what we do is we put a -4 in for the x here and get an answer, -4 in for the x here, get an answer, and multiply those two answers together, and that's how you multiply functions. But right away, we're going to look at our number. We have -4. That does not fit in the domain. It's not a positive integer, so we can't do anything with this problem. We just write the empty set, and that's all you have to do. That's it.